The FT notes the national security package includes a provision that would allow Ukraine to use funds from seized Russian assets to fund the war effort. Monday, April 22nd, 2024, Maneco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So today we're going to look at how the U.S. Congress has betrayed the will of the American people. Yes, and they've also hammered another nail in the coffin of the U.S. dollar. Before I start, though, I'd like to make a few announcements. First one is about my Sunday live stream. I usually do one every Sunday, of course. Many of you know that I was in hospital a few weeks ago for heart surgery. I'm still recovering. And yes, I've been told to rest for at least 6 weeks. For example, on Saturday, my wife and I tried to walk down to a local carvery or restaurant not far away. And actually, I got really tired and my wife had to walk back home and get the car. So I'm still not 100%. I will keep you posted as to when I'll start my live streams again. But right now, it's going to have to wait a little bit, unfortunately, for me and for you. The other announcement is to thank all of you, new subscribers, old subscribers, for your interest in the channel. And if you do watch my videos but haven't subscribed, make sure you do. We're above 99,000, so we're fast approaching 100,000, which is a nice milestone. It's not the end all for me, of course. The objective of this channel is to try to keep you informed with what's going on, but from a contrarian and Austrian School of Economics perspective, which means a perspective where we push for small government, we push for self-reliance, we push for sound money. In talking about sound money, Howard Buffett, the father of Warren Buffett, he used to be a congressman from Nebraska. He wrote once about how gold redeemable money was synonymous with freedom. And unfortunately, we don't have gold redeemable money at a fixed rate anymore. We haven't had it since the 30s, not even in the US. Yeah, the Bretton Woods system wasn't a system like that. It was just a gold-backed system. And only treasuries around the world could redeem dollars for gold. But the point of Howard Buffett's speech, I think he made a speech to a Chamber of Commerce sometime in 1948, is that if the general public, if voters are not happy with Congress, with the way they're running things, they can always withdraw their money or their gold from circulation by redeeming the currency. And that, of course, used to drive interest rates higher and stop Congress on its tracks from doing things that were irresponsible, profligate, and starting wars. And here we are, over 70 years later, after he made that speech, and Congress continues to betray the American people. And I would argue the fact that we don't have, not just in the US, but here in the UK as well, sound money or gold redeemable money or silver coinage is one of the reasons why the Anglo-American Empire continues to abuse its power, continues to rack up massive debts that are lumbered not just on us, but on our children will be lumbered on our grandchildren and their children. And this weekend, of course, it was par for the course. There is no two-party system in the United States, nor here in the UK for that matter, nor anywhere else in the West, I would say. When push comes to shove, when the military-industrial complex and the big banks need their hit of debt and liquidity, it always goes through. So I said in the beginning that Congress betrayed the will of the American people. And you might be thinking, well, they got it through a vote. Yes, they did. But 112, I think, Republicans voted against it. So it was a uni-party decision, right? They didn't get anything for the border in the U.S. They've given Zelensky another $61 billion. Granted, I think about $25 billion of that is not going to show up right away. It's going to take years. But what that does as well, it gives the military-industrial complex more liquidity, more pork, and in our system, of course, or any system, this liquidity or money has to go through the banking system, and you can bet the banking system is going to leverage those funds. And that's what it's all about. But I listened to Marjorie Taylor Greene, who voted against it, of course, this pork, not just for the Ukraine, but for other projects, Israel and the Indo-Pacific, which I assume is Taiwan. She said 70% of the American people didn't want to extend another $61 billion to the Ukraine. I don't know about Israel, what the polling showed, but we're going to focus on Ukraine here. And yet, Congress went ahead. So I was speaking about Howard Buffett earlier and gold and redeemable money. And we don't have a gold redeemable money anymore, but we do have the wherewithal, not just in the US, but in the UK and other countries, to still redeem our currency for gold. It's now called buying gold. And of course, it's not at a fixed price. And I think it's one of the ways, if you're unhappy with Congress, to vote against it, to vote with your wallet. Get out of their currency, because any amount of dollars or pounds that you hold, not just physically, but in your bank, is going to finance Zelensky and this war. I'm not pro-Putin or anything, but this war should have been over about a couple of years ago. There was some agreement negotiation, and it was scuppered by the US and the UK. Of course, Boris Johnson was used as an agent to go there and tell the Ukrainians not to accept peace. So what's the way to stop this, or try to vote with your wallet against Congress and the fact that they're continuing to finance wars, continuing to lumber the United States and also Parliament here, lumber the UK with debt that is unsurmountable? Well, one of the ways to vote with your wallet is to redeem your currency for gold and silver. That's one of the ways to do it. I know we don't have gold redeemable money at a fixed rate anymore, but we can still buy gold and silver now. Yes, the price fluctuates, but what it does, it hampers the wherewithal of Congress to finance these projects. And the other thing it does, it gives you protection against the inflation of the currency, because as we know, all fiat currencies eventually sink to zero versus gold and silver. And many of you, of course, have asked me throughout the years where to get gold. And that's why I've got a couple of affiliates. And this morning, I'd like to let you know that Miles Franklin has got a few specials this week. They've got a 1/4 ounce gold American Eagles for just $69 over melt. They've got 1 ounce silver kangaroos, just $3.19 over spot. And they've got pre-65 dimes and quarters, only $2.75 over spot. So if you want to get in touch with Miles Franklin, you can email them info@milesfranklin.com, or you can call them on 1-800-822-8080. And make sure you mention Mario or Monaco64. Here in the UK, of course, you can check out Gold Investments. And all the details for Gold Investments are below in the description of the video. So I said as well that Congress had hammered another nail in the coffin of the US dollar. Well, and it's been doing so, I would say, ever since 2008, 2009. And why is that? Well, because it bailed out Wall Street. It allowed Congress or the US government to indebt itself to bail out these banks. And the way the Fed also helped is by printing money out of thin air to buy a lot of the bonds to keep interest rates low. Yeah, that's called QE. And it did that for over 10 years. It kept rates artificially low. So that was the first really nail hammered in the coffin of the dollar. The other one started a few years later when the US started weaponizing the dollar. The dollar was supposed to be, and still is to some extent, a currency that's used for international trade as a means of payment, and it has a good tradition, of course, especially after the post-World War period. The dollar was seen as good as gold and became, it became a tradition, and people used it. People are comfortable with it. And you can still do that to some extent, but the fact that it started imposing sanctions on countries like Russia, Iran, and others, weaponized it. And the red line, I think, was crossed in 2022 when it weaponized the dollar again against the Russians. And I'm not judging anyone here. I'm just looking at the facts. It weaponized the dollar by freezing Russia's, almost 300 billion in assets. It blocked them from SWIFT. And it actually gave, an alarm to other countries that have a lot of dollar reserves that something was wrong, that they had to be careful, because if you don't toe the line with the Americans, they're going to freeze your reserves. And the reason countries have reserves, because they've been using the dollar as a means of payment, especially for energy, but for all commodities. And that's even accelerated the process of multipolarity, of the BRICS expanding and looking for ways and alternatives to the dollar. So this funding bill for Ukraine, actually, I was going through the article here in the FT. U.S. lawmakers approve aid to Ukraine and Israel after months of delay. And I read through it, of course. And it's interesting because a lot of these bills, they insert things there that people don't really look at. There are thousands of pages, but the FT notes the national security package includes a provision that would allow Ukraine to use funds from seized Russian assets to fund the war effort. Why is this so important, in my opinion? Well, right now the funds are frozen, and there's been a lot of debate, not just in the US, but in the EU, whether to use the profits from these funds to fund Ukraine. And they've been reticent to do it because it's illegal, basically. But now the US Congress has said that Ukraine can do it, can just steal the money and use it to fund its war effort. So you can bet that's going to reverberate throughout the world and world treasuries. And they're going to look at that and say, well, we need to get away from the dollar as much as possible. What's the alternative? Well, the alternative are not fiat currencies. The alternative is to keep your surplus international reserves in the money of kings or in gold, and maybe to some extent even in silver, but I think more gold. So that's why I think Congress has hammered another nail in the coffin of the dollar. So we're going to look at the markets now. And with all that's happening in the last few days, you would expect gold and silver to be higher. But gold and silver have gone up a lot in the last few weeks. And I've told you that there's going to be volatility. So how come gold is down $38 overnight? You would have thought, more debt, the provision for Ukraine to basically steal Russian funds, that should hurt the dollar. Well, it will. You should ignore the short-term noise. And I've said the higher gold and silver go, or the lower the currencies go, the more volatility we're gonna see. If anything, it might give you an opportunity to get gold and silver a little cheaper, even though I doubt it's going to make much difference. I think the dealers are going to be increasing their premiums. Why is that? Well, because of the volatility. Yes, to protect their profit margins. So right now it's 10 to 8 a.m. I'm a little earlier today. Rudy woke me up early today. We've got spot gold at $23.56. Yes, it's down $36. The low's been 51 and the high's been 92. And I checked the market yesterday when it opened at 11 p.m. London time, and it was straight down right off the bat. You know, maybe there is a little bit of manipulation there. Maybe the people at the Fed and the Treasury realize what they've done with this funding bill, and they want to protect a dying currency for a little longer. Silver has gotten hit hard as well. Right now we're at $27.70, down just over 3%. High's been $28.77, and the low has been $27.64. Dow futures is up 160. NASDAQ is up 123, and S&P is up 26, just below 5,000. So, yeah, I guess the market sees this as more debt, more liquidity. It keeps the system going for a while longer, and I think it's just a blip, these kinds of moves. I think we're moving more and more into an uncertain world, a world where hard assets become a lot more relevant, and paper assets become a lot more irrelevant. They'll still be around, but the relative value is going to change. What about currencies? Well, they're pretty much unchanged, so I won't go through them. WTI crude is down 1.3% at 81.05. Brent is down 1.2 at 85.50. So it looks like they've been able to calm down the situation between Israel and Iran for now. We've got high-grade copper down 0.2 at 451. Let's check the bond market, which I think is important to check, because with the debt growing, you can bet it's going to be difficult for them to keep yields low. And lo and behold, The 10-year yield right now is up 4 basis points at 4.65. So there you go. With that, I'm going to wish you all a very good day and a very good start to the week. Take care. Bye.